welcome back to another video. There was a video planned for last week. I'm trying to do one video per week. I got all the way through the editing during lockdown and evacuation, and an error occurred and I can't upload the video, which is super duper frustrating. So I say I did all of that through lockdown and evacuation, and I realized I haven't even put that video up yet. So the first week in February, Western Australia went into lockdown. We had one case of, you know what, I'm just getting my float because she's a bit windy. God, the dog. It's really awkward one-handed. Anywho, so we went into lockdown. Western Australia had one new case of coronavirus that was not in hotel quarantine, and said person had visited a lot of places whilst they had coronavirus. So we went into a 5-day lockdown here in WA, and so far so good. We're now like out of the lockdown. The lockdown ended on Friday. Today's now Monday. And no new cases, which is absolutely fantastic. But during that lockdown, we actually had a bushfire come through. So it started like over an hour's drive away from me. I watched it get bigger and bigger. I watched it go to the south of us, and we were fine, we were safe. Then we got put into a watch and act. The other side of my suburb got told to evacuate now because the fire, I think it said like 8 hours away from reaching you, and this was at like 12 o'clock at night. So they wanted everybody out. That side of the suburb is like rocks and big valleys, and it's really, really hard for the firefighters to actually get to the flames. And it's also a big old national park, which is just full of bush. So that all happened. We ended up evacuating. So the fire started the Monday. We evacuated the Wednesday afternoon, nightish. I had been doing some float training with Trixie. I had also taken Trixie out on the weekend before lockdown happened, and she is just getting so much worse with her floating. You know, I actually bought this float for her because my old float, which was an old 1970 something custom built horse float, Bluebell her name was. I'll try and insert some photos because I've definitely still got them. She was my first float. I bought her when I was 18 or 19. She cost me $5,000, and she was absolutely fantastic. I only had to do a few little things with her over the years of owning her, and then I bought this bad boy. So this float is literally like my dream float. It's got the big storage up the front. I'm going to take you guys on a whole tour of it, but unfortunately Trixie's just getting worse and worse and worse. So she doesn't want to go on a float because she knows she has to get off the float, and ever since I've had Trixie, getting off the float has been a huge issue. She hates taking that first step from the float onto the ramp, and she just like avoids it at all costs. So when I went to my friend's house to ride in her arena, because I was also meant to be having a riding lesson, but thanks lockdown and bushfires, Trixie ended up almost like falling backwards out of my float. She managed to catch herself last minute, but that absolutely terrified her, and it took me over an hour to get her back in the float. Then I got her home, and I took her halter off and just let her come out at her own pace. I wasn't going to force her, I wasn't going to like guide her. I was just going to let her figure it out for herself. So she just stood here for a good 10 minutes. And Mum was like, maybe let Summer out. Maybe she'll want to run to Summer. Let Summer out. And Trixie just exploded off the float, semi fell off the ramp, and then ran off. And then we knew that we were going to have to evacuate soon, so we decided this is the time now. We've got the time, we can see the fire's not near us yet, we will start float training with Trixie again. So it took us maybe 10 minutes to get her on the float. She was fab, she went on, she wouldn't get off. She plants her back feet, she will not come off. So she ended up stumbling, fumbling, falling down the ramp again to get off. And then finally it came time to evacuate. It took us 20 minutes to get her on the float. I think probably because I was getting a bit more anxious because I wanted to get out before it went dark. So it was like, come on, let's go. The fire was nowhere near us. It wasn't like it was right on us and I was super stressed. I just wanted to get out now. I was done. I was sick of sitting and watching this fire and knowing that I'm probably not going to sleep because it's going to burn through the night and it's getting closer and closer and closer to us through the night. So I wanted to go. I wanted to get the horses out. I didn't want to have to be loading them in the dark. And all of that. So it took 20 minutes to get Trixie on the float then, and then when we got to where the horses evacuated to, Trixie tried to turn around in my float bay. Like, this is me elbow to elbow in my float bays, and Trixie got her head round this here divider, panicked. I had to just like rip it open. Obviously it slides across, so it comes this way so she can get out, and then she fell down my ramp. So to get Trixie home, I ended up having a friend come with her horse. So she's got an Eiffel Williams, which is a UK float, and it has the front exit ramp. So she was so much happier on that. Her bays were so much bigger. It's probably about the same height as mine, maybe, yeah. But the float bays were a lot bigger. They didn't have all the padding. I have all this padding because these are actually beds. They lift up to become beds so you can camp in here. Like I said, I'm going to show you all of that. But anyway, Trixie got home safe and sound and she came off the float so much better. But I know they are so hard to get over here and really hard to get secondhand. So I want to look into buying an angle load. So I'd like to try her on an angle load first, make sure that I'm going in the right direction. But that means I need to put this bad boy up for sale because I can't afford to buy another float and keep this one, unfortunately. So today's video is cleaning my float and getting it ready for being sold, which I'm really sad about because, like I said, I absolutely love this float. It was a dream come true. It was like one of the first big items that me and Trent bought together, and we actually paid outright for it, so there's no loan or anything owing on this float. We own it. So yeah, it's really sad, but I've got to do what's right for my horses. Even Summer doesn't like floating on the driver's side, so when she's the only horse in here, I do still have to float her on the passenger side because my float yards are there, and I think that's what gets her. They rattle, they scare her. We went through a whole phase of Summer falling in the float, so she did it 3 times. And one time she fell and I had Trixie here in the passenger side, and her legs went like under Trixie, and oh, it was just not a great time. But she's over that now, and she's always been such a solid floater, so it really worried me. But I figured she was fine in the passenger side. We'll just keep doing that. Trixie's gonna get bigger and heavier than her, but unfortunately she don't like the float. So I'm gonna spin the camera around now and show you guys what state it is in. Like I said, I've just come back from being evacuated, so this was actually used as my feed/tack storage whilst the horses were away. And I'll give you guys a quick overview of the float, and then I'll start emptying it and getting it clean. Alrighty, so I'm standing in the passenger float bay. I've taken the chest bar off, it's there, just so it's easy for me to walk in and out. Look at my nails, I'm missing a nail, ignore that. This was gonna be for microwave and fridge. I just never actually got around to doing it. But that's what that little handy space is for. And it's a huge space, it goes all the way back there. But right now it's just full of rubbish and spiderwebs. So I'm gonna have loads of fun getting that out. I think there's a bridle back there, saddle cover, towel, bucket, tarp. And yeah, and this is just a handy little shelf that I ended up using, but obviously it's going to be used for a microwave. That's what it's meant to be for. These are cupboards. You can lock these in, or maybe you couldn't. Oh no, you have to press them. That's right. I was like, what do these do? So you press these and it takes you into the front storage lockers, but you can get to them a lot easier through the front. But that's the whole idea of these, is that once you're inside this float, you can get to everything still. We have the stallion divider. Here's the bays. The bays are huge. They are 700 millimeters wide. Let me just back on up out of here. As you can see, like I said, it's been used as feed and storage. But these fold up and it made a bed. So both of them come up and it made a bed in both bays. I only ever slept in it once, but then at horse shows I used to put one bay up so I could just come and chill. I need to glue this down. Trent's bike fell in here and ripped that. And I've got a rip on the other side. Ooh. There it is. His bike also did that one, so that's a bit disappointing. But yeah, I've got the big storm door on the back, which I loved because then once I was in here, we've got the lights, vents up the top, obviously my window's open, rug rack, this huge bench. So when I did camp in this was kind of like our dumping ground. We had our clothes bags, so a friend came with me. We had our clothes bags on here, we had our food on here. But yeah, let's go back outside. So I love my float because of the color as well. So we are a beautiful teal and silver. The brand is a Duvent. It was Duvent. Anyway, and we had the storage on the side here. I was always going to, I don't know whether it's unlocked. I might have locked it. Yeah, I've locked it. But I was going to put like a stove in there, and I was also going to put an awning up here so that when camping, I could have a little like barbecue table. You're just walking out, we'd have the awning. Spare wheel, never had to be used. Float, now these are something I'm going to have to replace. Trent accidentally drove my float with the ramp down. So unfortunately the ramp's got a little bit of damage along here. But it's all like, it all works fine still, like there's nothing wrong with that. The other side, so this side has had the sun on it mostly. So we've got a lot of paint peelage, which is a huge shame because I loved my float. So there you go, you can see it's like the top coats come off. See? All right, there you go. Just rip it. Anyway, there's my float yards. So I'll show you this cupboard first because this is the exciting one, let's face it. I always forget which way to turn it, you know, when you like, oh lol, I actually locked it. Oh no, I didn't. I just had to put my elbow into it a bit. Here we go, guys. This is my exciting one. So you've got two bridle hooks. I've got my bridles there. This is Trixie's brand new Lemire bridle. It's got a bit of dust on it now. I need to get all this out, obviously. And then I've got my two saddles. This is the beautiful Bates Anova. And then I've got Trixie's Bates Dressage and just a whole load of rubbish in there. Summer's bridles on there. So that was that front storage. That all needs to get cleaned out. Boop. Over my jockey wheel and my tow bar, and this side was kind of like feed and poo stuff and stuff. So I have their fly veils. I've got my show bridle for hacking, my numbers for cross country, my pooper scooper, some rugs. I've got an esky back there. Oh well. But yes, that's the cupboard that I opened before, and I was like, oh, there's no use. So yeah, all this needs a really, really good clean out. Alrighty, so I'm just going to drag the hay and the feed out of here right now. And then I think I'm going to sweep it here because I'm going to take the float up to the front of the house to be able to pressure wash it to get all of the dirt and dust out of here. But I'm going to just ignore that huge fly around my face. I'm going to take all of the hay out back here so I've not got hay in front of my house. Alright guys, everything is empty. I brought the float around the front of the house. I've got my pressure washer, I've got a bucket of soapy water. I swept as best as I could. The wind kept blowing hay back here, which was uber dooba dooba. Let me struggle them. Uber annoying. But yeah, so I'm just going to give it all a big old once over. I'm going to take these all out. Oh, a sticker on there. Yeah, so I'm going to take all of this out now, and then I'm going to give this all a big once over. I'm not really sure where I'm going to put my phone to get this footage, but I'll do what I gotta do. Alrighty, float is done. Sorry guys, I didn't take any footage of me giving it a good scrub. Water was going everywhere, so my poor phone got soaked. My floor seems to like just be staying this brown color. I'm guessing it's now probably stained. A little bit of hay that keeps blowing in, and I can't get the hay out of there, so I'm gonna wait for it to dry, and then I'm gonna brush it out. But overall, my float's come up like shiny brand new. Obviously there's a bit of wear and tear, and there's bits like this that, you know, will come off. Just made that so much worse. That's all right, I can wipe that down. I'm probably gonna go over it and wipe it all down anyway. Like there's a big scratch there. I don't actually know how that happened or when that happened. But yeah, just shiny and new again. And you know what I have never done? I've never pulled the protective cover off my windows. So I'm excited to do that. See? Oh, unless that's meant to stay on. Wow, no. But yeah.